اجازه میخواهم که با خانم علایی شروع بکنم که نماینده جامعه بهائیان هستند در سازمان ملل و در سطح بین المللی شناخته شدن. مبارزات ایشون در زمینه مسائل حقوق بشر انسان ایرانی شناخته شده است. احتیاج به تعریف در صحبت من نیست، همچون سایر دوستان. من به ایشون میسپارم آغاز جلسه را. متشکرم.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson, and thank you for the organizers of this. Sorry, I'm going to make a bit of noise. For the organizers of this panel, Zudvin and our friends. As it was agreed, because this panel has been going on every session of the Human Rights Council, and in order not to repeat from the outset everything that we know, unfortunately, about the situation of religious minorities, and particularly in my case of the Baha'is in Iran, I will try to update you on the latest developments and the things that are the most grave regarding the situation of the Baha'is since the March session. Unfortunately, the Baha'is in Iran continue to be arrested only for their beliefs. Today, there are in prison 105 Baha'is, Iranians, who are in prison solely because they're Baha'is. They haven't committed any crime, they haven't committed any misdemeanor, they just are Baha'is and they refuse to deny their belief, and therefore they're put in prison by the authorities of the Islamic Republic. Some of them have sentences that go up to 20 years imprisonment, and others have shorter sentences. But there are cases, for example, of couples who have young children and who are both sentenced to imprisonment, and their children are left alone without any parents to be able to take care of them. Of course, this is not new. Baha'is have always been imprisoned, unfortunately, and this is a recurrent system whereby Baha'is are imprisoned, released, on bail, etc. But I think that what has been worsening for the Baha'is is the fact that now these arrests are more and more violent, and that the way that the officers of the Ministry of Information or the Secret Services in Iran take these arrests become more and more aggressive. They storm into people's houses, they're masked, they come with weapons, they destroy the whole place, they beat up anybody who is resisting, or just not resisting, but just asking for an official proof of their rights to enter those homes, and they actually frighten even small children. So I think that this has been a worsening of that particular situation of the arrests. What has been also going on, and which is of extreme concern to the Baha'is, is the denial of access to education. As you have mentioned, Baha'is, because they're Baha'is, are denied even the right to enter university. I think that our friends and colleagues in the panel on denial to access to university have also spoken to this a few days ago. What I would just say is that despite the claims of the Iranian government that, anybody can go to university, this is not true. Baha'is, as soon as they're identified, are either not allowed to even register in university, or if they have registered and been able to enter, they're dismissed. This goes to universities in Iran, whether they're public or private. But on top of it, the Baha'is, because they have been denied access to education for the past nearly 30 years, they have started to create our own system of internet-based or distance learning through the Baha'i Institute of Higher Education. And this is clear that the Iranian government does not want Baha'is to study at all, because even in this institute, this Baha'i Institute of Higher Education has now been shut down, and some of the Baha'is who were just helping in organizing this institute that was in private homes. It was a very grassroots endeavor, nothing that was extraordinary. I mean, extraordinary in itself, but nothing that was so grandiose. They have been also condemned to 4 to 5 years imprisonment, and 3 of them are actually in very poor health, and we're very concerned about their well-being in prison. So this is also the other concern of the Baha'is concerning access to higher education. And the relentlessness by which the Iranian government has pursued this denial of access to higher education for young Baha'is, whether, as I said, it is within the normal structure of schooling or university, or the own Baha'i Institute of Higher Education, even goes now down to primary, secondary, and even primary school, and even now kindergarten. We know that the Iranian authorities have asked all students, Baha'i students, to be registered by the secret services, and the circular that has come into our hands, which is a secret document, states even children who go to kindergarten, to preschool. So, I think that the interest of the Iranian government to know about children who are between 4 and 6, and whether they're Baha'is or not, show that the situation is of extreme concern to us. The third point that I wanted to talk about at this stage was denial of employment. There has been an increase in the denial of access to employment by the Iranian government to Baha'is. And this is something that had been going on. I mean, since the beginning of the revolution, of course, Baha'is were not able to be employed in the public sector. This has been going on. But now, even in the private sector, there has been a lot of pressure that has been put on Baha'is. In a city like Kerman, business licenses have been revoked. As soon as Baha'is wanted to renew their business licenses, they're not renewed, and some are revoked. In other cities like Sari, Ghaem Shar, also Karaj, and many other cities, Baha'i shops have been shut down, and Semnan, just because the owners are Baha'is. And recently, in fact, in the city of Semnan, also factories have been shut down. And this attack on the Baha'is shows that really what the Iranian government's aim is to not allow Baha'is to be able to live in Iran. Not Baha'is to be able to just be normal Iranians and have a profession and earn a living. And in doing so, the Iranian government is so blind that it actually doesn't care about also harming its own Shia Muslim population. Because in fact, what was the case in Semnan was that the factory, one of the factories that was shut down, employed 51 persons. Out of the 51 persons, 15 were Baha'is, and the 36 others were Shia Muslims, and they also were then thus deprived of a job and of being able to earn a livelihood. The other point that I wanted to mention was the destruction of cemeteries, and burial rights, in fact. Baha'is have been recently now denied to be able to bury their death in the same way that their deaths are in the same way that within their own rights. And so bodies of deceased Baha'is have been confiscated by the government and then buried already in hiding by the government without allowing these people to have a proper Baha'i burial. Cemeteries have also been destroyed and confiscated. We have some Kurdish friends here, so I just wanted to give an example of the situation that took place recently in Sanandaj, where in fact a land had been given to the Baha'is, a wasteland outside of the city after the Baha'i cemetery was confiscated so that Baha'is could bury their dead. And Baha'is had started to turn this place into a nice place, planting trees and making it quite a nice place, and everybody in the city was benefiting and was very happy about this green place that was created. And the government, realizing that this is creating too much pleasure, I think, for all the inhabitants, decided to shut down also and destroy and actually plug out the trees of this cemetery and forbid the Baha'is to bury their dead in that cemetery. I think that what we see, well, perhaps I will go to the last point, which is the demonization. I think that this is something that all our colleagues have talked about, and that we know is that whoever has a different belief from those of the main ruling people in the Islamic Republic, in order to attack them better, are demonized. And this is also the case for the Baha'is, where there is this campaign, relentless campaign again, in the press, in the media, on TV, in the radios, on weblogs, spreading lie and hatred against the Baha'is. We have produced a publication which is called Inciting Hatred, and there are some copies at the entrance. If you're interested in getting one, and if there's none left, please contact me. And it's also available on our website. To demonize the Baha'is and to create this hatred against the Baha'is among the Iranian population. Gratefully and thankfully, Iranians now know much better than this, and I'm sure that there are some people who are subject to these lies and to believe these lies, but we have had instances, many instances, of support of Iranians who are not Baha'is in defense of the Baha'is. For example, we've had cases in the schools where parents of Baha'i children who were oppressed because of their belief came in the defense and actually complained. We've had cases in universities where also fellow students complain about the denial of access to education. As I mentioned, we've had cases both in employment and in the cemeteries, and in all cases. So I think that I wanted to end perhaps with a little bit more of a positive note than a negative one, although the situation is grave. And unfortunately, every time I have to come and report about it, the only thing I can say is that it's getting worse, rather than saying that it's getting better. But there is certainly more and more support from all Iranians to one another, and regardless of their beliefs, regardless of their political or ideological beliefs, and I think that this is what will certainly help the promotion of human rights in Iran. Thank you very much.